Hello friends, welcome back to another video, and I am pumped about this video. If you're new around here, my name is Rachel. Welcome to A Good Little Teach. On this channel, you will find a whole range of things. I am a full-time primary school teacher, but I do YouTube on the side, and on this channel, I post things like fashion videos, lifestyle videos, and sometimes I even post some recommendations, which is what this YouTube video is all about. So we are actually moving into spring, which I am so excited about. I love spring. My birthday is soon. I'm a little spring baby, so I am very excited about the change of season. The flowers are all in bloom. The air is starting to get warm. Summer dresses are coming out in my wardrobe, which I am very excited about. I can put the coats away, and it's just a good time of year, you know? It's coming towards the end of the year. Christmas things are starting to appear in the stores, which is very exciting. But I thought in this video, to get us kind of in the mood for the change of season, I would give you some recommendations of things you might like to read, things you might like to watch, and things you might like to do over this next couple of months to kind of get you in the feel for the end of the year. So without further ado, let's start with things that you could read. I have 3 books that I am going to recommend to you. 2 of them I have read, 1 of them I have not, but I have heard rave reviews about. So I'm recommending it to you on the basis of those reviews. I am yet to read it. It is on my list. First one is called The Lost Flowers of Alice Hart, and this book is set in Australia, and it centers around these lost flowers and these 2 women and their lives. And I'm not going to give it away, but it's a bit of a heart-wrenching book. I was like, how do I describe it? I was not disappointed in the end, but the end kind of was like, huh. Anyway, it's not really selling it to you, but it was a really good read. I really enjoyed it, and it's got the flower theme in there, so perfect for spring. The next book I have to recommend to you is The Dictionary of Lost Words, and this is the book I haven't read yet. However, everyone I have talked to about it has said they have really enjoyed this book. Again, it centers around those flowers, it centers around letters and words and what they mean and all of those kind of things. So I'm very interested to read this book. If you have read it, let me know in the comments down below. Would you recommend it, or is this recommendation not a very good one? The third book I have for you is one of my favorites though, and it centers around a garden. It is The Forgotten Garden by Kate Morton, and Kate Morton is one of my absolute favorite authors. The way she weaves a story is just magical. The great thing, or the thing I like about The Forgotten Garden, is that there's actually 2 storylines kind of coinciding, going back and forth between the future and the past, trying to solve this mystery of these sisters. Really fascinating, really interesting. I would definitely, if you like that kind of period fiction, mystery, romance kind of book, this is definitely the book for you. And the garden is one of the main characters as well. It kind of centers around this lost, forgotten garden. It's just beautiful. It's written beautifully. Would highly recommend. All right, so they're the 3 books that I would recommend, 1 for each month of spring. The next, let's move on to movies. Movies are always fun. Pour yourself a wine on a Friday night, make yourself a cup of tea on a Saturday morning. Here are some movies that you could watch this spring. Now, the first 2 movies are spring-like, I guess, because of like Northern Hemisphere. You know, it's kind of like graduation, summer break, starting senior year, that kind of thing. I don't actually know, when do they start in fall? It's finishing, going into summer. So finishing senior year, all of those kind of things. Anyway, I ramble on. Those 2 movies are High School Musical 3, which is the best of the High School Musicals in my opinion, and it's just such a fun watch. And the second one is 10 Things I Hate About You, because who doesn't love a little bit of Heath Ledger, especially that scene when he's singing I Can't Take My Eyes Off of You on the bleachers. So good. The next movie I have to recommend to you is a classic, and that is Pride and Prejudice. And this one is my spring recommendation just for those beautiful shots of the English countryside, those rolling hills, those misty mornings. This movie is beautiful to watch, and Keira Knightley does such a good job as Elizabeth Bennet. I love this movie. It's fantastic. Definitely a good springtime watch. The next two movies are two of my favorites, and these end up on the spring recommendation list because of the last or the final scenes in these movies are set in a blooming garden. The first one is Notting Hill, and the second one is You've Got Mail. Both fantastic 90s rom-coms. These two movies are two of my favorites. They are definitely in my top 5. I love You've Got Mail, that end scene when they're in the garden and he calls out Brinkley and she's like, I knew it was you. Gets me every time. Those two movies are probably my top recommendations for spring. I love them. They're just good, solid movies. The next recommendations that I have for you are maybe some fun things that you could do over the next couple of months as we lead into summer. You know, maybe it's a Saturday and you're kind of searching for some activities instead of just sitting at home and being like, I don't really know what to do today. Maybe some of these things you could put on your list, maybe like a bucket list for spring, some things that you would like to do over the next couple of months. The first thing is maybe some baking. So when I think of spring baking, I think of things that you would kind of buy at a spring fair or a spring fete. So like jam drops, chocolate chip cookies, hummingbird cake, think banana bread or banana cake. I would think of things like caramel slice or brownies or like apple slice or things like that. Maybe there's a recipe that you have in your family that's really kind of nostalgic to you. Think like school afternoon tea. That's what I kind of think of when I think of spring baking. Maybe even like making pancakes on a Saturday morning, toasting bagels or something like that. Something really like just fun, and yeah, you can have it like a cup of tea in the afternoon. Since the weather is warming up, my next recommendation would be to go on a morning bushwalk or maybe a hike if that's your thing. I don't really hike, I don't really like it, but we do have a lot of bushwalking tracks just around from us. So now that the weather is warming up and it's starting to have really nice days and it's not so rainy anymore, Saturday morning bushwalks might be something for you. Or the other thing you could do is something Andy and I really like to do is head into the city and do the like river walk boardwalks. They're really cool and fun to do as well. Another fun activity, now that obviously the weather is warming up, you could probably go out a little bit later without a coat or just a light cardigan or something like that. You could go and play putt-putt, which is just fun to play any time of the year, but I don't know, I kind of associate it with those warmer months. So put putt-putt on your list of things to do, or mini golf if that's what you call it. Putt-putt, mini golf. Put that on your list of things to do. That would be fun. I also associate spring with picnics. It's starting to warm up. The gardens are in bloom. Why don't you grab a picnic rug and head to your local park, pack yourself a little picnic, or go to your local bakery, grab some sweets, and just chill out in the park for a few hours. One of the things Andy and I loved to see when we were over in London was everyone just having picnics in the park or after work drinks in the park, and it was so lovely to see. So I think this springtime, head to the beach, head to the park, grab a picnic blanket, grab some yummy treats, and go and chill out with your friends. It would be lovely. Who wouldn't want to do that? I guess along the same lines as putt-putt, a drive-in movie. How fun would that be? We have a few drive-in theaters close to us, but we've never actually been to them, so I have that on my spring bucket list. The next one is a bit more homey. You might like to go and visit a nursery or your local Bunnings on a Saturday morning and pick out some nice flowers and plant them in your garden so you have some color attracts the bees, and it's all lovely and nice out in your garden. Something to look at while you're sipping your afternoon tea, eating your spring baking. Along those same lines, you might also like to visit your local market on a Saturday morning and see what local produce there is. Maybe do a little bit of shopping and kind of buy locally and buy seasonally, and see what meal you can create out of that. Maybe set yourself a little bit of a task to buy seasonally and then create a meal or dinner out of that. The next thing is something that's probably a little bit trans-seasonal, but have those last fires, those backyard fires. As the nights are still cool, light the fire in the backyard and just sit by the fire, have a glass of wine, and just chat about the day, chat about the week, invite some friends over, have those kind of last fireside chats as the nights start to warm up. And the last recommendation I have for you isn't really a lot of fun, but it suits spring, which is have a spring clean. I have started to spring clean my house. I spring cleaned my wardrobe the other day, and I have felt so organized ever since. I'm excited to do it to the rest of the house. You can watch that video up here if you want to see me spring clean my wardrobe. But maybe there's some areas in your house which you're like, that really needs a good clean. This would be the time to do it before that end of year madness starts and things just start piling up. Set aside some time and clean those areas of your house now. All right, friends, well, that is all of my recommendations for you for spring. Let me know in the comments which one stands out to you the most, or which ones you think you might like to try this spring, or even share your spring bucket list down below. I would love to see what kind of things that you are doing this spring. Maybe I can add them to my spring bucket list. So that would be fun. We love that. All right, friends, well, that is it for this video. I will see you in my next one. I hope you have a lovely week. Bye, friends.